Coming up.
Sometimes it looks dodgy, but it's legit, and sometimes it looks legit and it's dodgy.
Hi Sam, fancy a job?
She left me an agonisingly long voice message.
Kudos to you on that one, because I wouldn't be able to see anything.
I was thinking I don't want to get into the weeds of it here.
Medical? Potentially?
It's more woo than medical.
Are we in the field of auras and stuff?
How do you say that?
I believed in it while I was doing all this.
You were the one that said it was woo, not me.
I didn't think it was going to be controversial.
I love a bit of controversy.
Where did the West Country come from?
So whatever she says, I'm like, oh, that sounds so beautiful.
And now, enjoy the podcast.
How do you say that?
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 Hello and welcome to How Do You Say That, sponsored by BritishVoiceover.co.uk. This is my co-host, Mark Rice.
Hello, hello, hello. And
Hello.
That's my co-host, Sam Boffin.
Hello. And on this podcast, we are all about scripts, voices, and wondering how to say stuff.
Yes, indeed. And we're here every Friday without fail. So just hit the follow button on Spotify or Apple Podcasts and join us every week.
Yes. So, now, true or false? When I was a little girl,
Yeah.
we had a dog called Timothy Tight Socks.
Oh, that is an amazing name for a dog, Timothy.
Isn't it, though?
Tight
Timothy
Socks.
Tight Socks.
I really hope that I'm going to go true. I really hope it's true.
We did.
Amazing.
He had little white legs. He was a sausage dog.
Oh,
It was
Oh,
really
I had a
cute.
sausage dog.
oh,
you?
That's our guest, Susie. We will introduce her more in just a moment. Oh, sausage dog for Susie as well. Well, my true or false fun fact is I have 6 vacuum cleaners in my house at the moment.
True or false? I think I'm actually going to go true because you're a dab hand at selling a vacuum cleaner. So I reckon that's why you've got them.
It is true, and I've got several different brands that I'm selling on TV
my
at the moment. So
God.
I've got 6 in my house, all on the
That's
go at the moment.
Amazing. Well, not actually, not on the go at the moment.
Not literally, no.
Not literally on the go. And of course, we have a very special guest.
We do.
Voice actor Susie Valerio. Hello, Susie.
Hi, Susie.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
You're absolutely welcome. Much as I want to hear more about the sausage dog, let's hear about your biog instead.
Absolutely. So Susie is an award-winning British-Brazilian actor, producer and casting director with over 20 years across the entertainment industry, from film and TV to docs and sport and ads and, well, basically all things audio and video games. She's also, I'm impressed with this, she's also the Brazilian ambassador for SOVAS and regular speaker at conferences and on webinars.
Well, being a bilingual international actor herself, Susie's deeply committed to genuine diversity, international collaborations and ethical casting. Recent casting production credits include Career Booth, Far Cry, Rise of Revolution, Brawl Stars, promos for main games and animation franchises, and a number of upcoming projects under NDA that she can't talk about. Behind the mic, Susie records across most genres in native international English and Brazilian Portuguese, consistently booking with some of the world's biggest brands. Wow, it's quite a resume, that, Susie. Welcome along.
Thank you.
What's your fun fact, assuming it's not about sausage dogs?
No, my fun fact is that once, so I used to do silver service work as a waitress, and I served the Queen and I dropped peas on her. Yes, I did.
Wow.
I did. She was lovely, though. She didn't move, and I just kicked the peas gently under the table. It was so
Susie.
embarrassing. So embarrassing.
Can I add my own
Yes.
little Buckingham Palace story to that? Because I've actually had
Yes.
dinner at Buckingham Palace. Clang.
I won't ask.
And this might make you feel better, Susie. The waiter that was serving me dropped a little square potato on the floor.
Oh, I love it.
He
Thank you.
laughed and said, "Oh, it's all right. The corgis will get it."
Oh my God.
Yeah, I just didn't even move. Honestly, I was so embarrassed. I just kind of kicked the pea. But I mean, sorry, who puts peas on the menu?
I know.
For a lunch with the Queen is
They
just
are
insane.
a hazard waiting to happen, aren't they?
Really? Yeah.
Well, on that rather regal note, let's have a look at the first script of our show and ask, how do you say that?
How do you say that?
So this is an interesting little script that I had to do recently.
Yeah, there's a word just in the first sentence that I've never seen before even. I don't know if you have, Susie. It looks like enneatypes. Is that correct?
Enea. Enneatypes.
Oh, it's even more difficult.
Yeah.
Ennea. Okay. Oh,
Enneatypes.
blimey.
Yeah.
This seems medical, potentially?
No, actually, not medical. No, it's more spiritual.
That I thought it was medical.
Now, but that changes the way that I might approach it, should it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's more woo than medical.
Oh.
Very surprising because I was convinced it was medical. So yeah, I'm curious now. I'm going to Google later to see what it is.
Oh, gosh.
It's a way of breaking down your type, if you like, the type of person that you are.
Are we in the field of auras and stuff?
We are in the field of
Right,
auras and
okay.
stuff.
Okay.
And stuff.
Sorry to anybody that really believes in that kind of thing.
Okay.
I'm a little bit of a skeptic.
I believed in it while I was doing all this.
Oh, well, I would believe in it while I was doing it.
You have to believe in it while you're doing
Absolutely,
it.
quite.
Yeah.
One has to be aware of the audience that is likely to be connecting
Yes,
with this,
of
I
course.
suppose. Yeah. And it's quite informational. So we need to give them time for things to seep in, if you like.
Okay.
Drop in, yeah.
So
I
not
would say.
completely woo.
No, I mean, the people that are interested in this sort of thing do not see it as woo.
No, you were the one
It's
that said it was
alternative
woo, not
medicine,
me.
isn't it? No, I know, no. But what I'm saying is that what I meant was it's more woo than medical.
Well, I'll have a go first, Susie.
Okay.
Right, let me have a go. The 9 separate enneatypes are grouped into 3 clusters called triads. Each triad has one thing in common, a point of view or a feeling that they perceive the world through. Some Enneagram practitioners refer to these as the 3 knowledge centers. The triad groups represent 3 ways that we can process information. People often use words like gut, bones, or heart to describe their feelings, such as in, I know it in my gut. Which option they choose can be very telling.
Nice. Very nice.
I think I
Yes.
warmed into that slightly.
You did. What did you think, Susie?
It felt quite informational, I guess, but without knowing exactly the context,
Yeah.
I would have thought, yes, that's great. But now knowing what it is and it's not medical, then maybe I think a little bit more warmth.
So you think maybe too informational? Yeah, no,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
I can take that on board very much.
But I mean, because I thought it was medical as well.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of, a slight shift because of what it is, I guess.
It is, and I would say that, and I think that you warmed into it because of it, so that by the time you got to, because actually that the last sentence is a lot more
Conversational.
it's a lot more
Actually,
conversational. Trying
yeah.
to think of a different word,
Yep.
really, but it is a lot more conversational, and therefore I think by the time you got there, you probably
already warmed
recognised
up.
that,
Yeah.
and you'd
Yes.
warmed into
Yeah.
it, if you see what I mean.
Indeed.
Pace-wise, I know you go mad when I talk about pace, but pace-wise, I thought that you it was great. But I think I would agree with Susie. Probably a little bit more warmth and lightness,
Okay.
really.
All right, warmth and lightness is what she's after, Susie. Do you want to have a go?
Okay. Yeah. The 9 separate enneatypes are grouped into 3 clusters called triads. Each triad has one thing in common, a point of view or a feeling that they perceive the world through. Some Enneagram practitioners refer to these as the 3 knowledge centers. The triad groups represent 3 ways that we can process information. People often use words like guts, bones, or heart to describe their feelings, such as, I know it in my gut. Which option they choose can be very telling.
Well, she asked for warmth, and you
Lovely.
gave us warmth in
That
bucket
was
loads.
lovely.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
I'm warming my hands on that. That's very lovely.
And you actually felt like the practitioner, which I think was,
Yes.
that you felt like you were part of that all. Yeah, I loved that. That was great.
Yes,
thank
and
you.
pacing was good. I followed it again.
Yeah.
I probably went a little bit fast because I probably always do when I think informational. But you slowed it down nicely, and I was following that. Even if I didn't know what it was about, I was still following.
Yes.
Yeah, I still don't know exactly what it is.
Well, no, neither do I.
I've done the whole thing, and I've done all 9, and I've no real knowledge of what
I feel that my
separate
chakras
enneatypes
are a
like.
bit blocked with this one.
Oh, there was
that
a
the
lot
right
of
thing to
chakra
say?
talk. A lot of chakra
I
talk.
bet there is. I bet there is. I wish I knew what I was talking about. I hope I haven't offended anyone by saying that. Yeah, it's an odd one, this, though. So
It is.
Was it a much, much longer script for you, Sam?
Yeah, it was and it was lots of little, small, sort of
Right.
bite-sized,
Okay.
pieces, really.
I'm interested to see what you did with it.
Yes, I don't think it's earth-shattering, but I'll give you what I did anyway. The 9 separate enneatypes are grouped into 3 clusters called triads. Each triad has one thing in common: a point of view or a feeling that they perceive the world through. Some Enneagram practitioners refer to these as the 3 knowledge centres. The triad groups represent 3 ways that we can process information. People often use words like gut, bones or heart to describe their feelings, such as in, "I know it in my gut." Which option they choose can be very telling.
Lovely. I mean, I'm half sold because I love Sam's voice.
Well, yes, absolutely.
So whatever she says, I'm like, oh, that sounds so beautiful. But yeah.
Oh, go on, rip her to shreds. Go on,
Rip me
go
to
for it.
shreds.
You got to the feeling that they perceive the world through, and I heard it slightly differently to either the way I read it or the way that Susie read it, in terms of I possibly understood it more. It might have been because it was the 3rd time I was hearing it.
Well, I did lean into things like
Yes.
feeling and perceive.
You did.
Because that was the whole... I think that was where we established, with me and the client, we established that was what was going to light people's fire who were actually listening to this. Because it's
Yep.
all about how you feel, how you perceive, how you experience the world.
Mm-hmm.
So I suppose that was deliberate, if you like, yeah.
Play, how do you say that? Yeah, well, it is worthwhile remembering that these are real scripts we're working on. We have changed some of the names and some details to avoid copyright issues. And while we're on the subject of scripts, you can find both of the ones we're using today in the show notes of this episode so you can follow along.
Absolutely. So, Susie, tell us a little bit about the script that you've brought along.
So this is from a job I've done recently. It's a documentary. So it's the beginning of the documentary.
Is it the kind of preamble before the opening credits
Yes,
almost?
exactly.
Got it.
Yeah,
Got it.
yeah, exactly.
In which case I know how to do the final line,
Exactly.
I think. The other two,
And
not so
some
much.
of it was actually used on the promos as well.
Okay.
Yes. Okay, yeah. So this little bit before the pre-roll is often a bit more promo-y, isn't it, than the rest
Yeah.
of it?
The direction I got when we recorded, we were actually recorded with 2 different people. So one person directed the promos and someone else directed, and a
Yes.
team
Oh,
directed the
interesting.
documentary. So
Yep.
actually, although the text is more or less the same, it was directed completely different.
Oh, that's
it was,
interesting.
Yeah, so it was 2 different things.
Okay, but we're going to treat this as the doc.
Yeah, well, this one was actually from the documentary, so the promo
Yes.
was a
Okay.
little bit shorter,
sure.
but pretty much the same, actually.
Pronunciation is what I'm going to ask. Welcome to... And how do we
Paracatu.
say that?
Paracatu.
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 I mean, it looks like it's nicely written, which is always good. Except I do think that first sentence is quite long.
Yeah. Yes, it is a little bit long.
I love the way... Yes, it is a little bit
Yeah,
long.
we had some long
Let's just
sentences.
enjoy that.
Yeah.
Let's just enjoy that and breathe where we want to breathe.
But
Exactly.
breathing is so overrated. Like,
Oh,
who
it's so
wants to-
overrated.
Isn't it? Like, don't need to breathe.
So, Sam, do you want to give us a go first?
Going into the doc. Okay, right. Drawn by the jobs and industry that gold generates, a population of approximately 100,000 people has grown around one of the largest open-pit gold mines in the world, creating a unique living situation. This episode explores the delicate balance between mine, city, and environment, a carefully managed relationship so that both mine and the city's inhabitants can flourish. Welcome to Paracatu, Brazil, a city born from gold.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a little too informational.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
Yep,
Yeah, they kind of went for warmth.
warmth. Okay, fab.
Are there lots of beautiful pictures of gold on the screen by any chance?
No. At this point, no, not really. It's more about the people.
The people, yep, and the living conditions. Okay,
Yeah,
that makes
yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the community the community around the gold mine. So it's not about the mine.
Right.
It's about
The people.
everything around it. Yeah.
I mean, arguably, if I'm going to say, Sam, will you do me a documentary? That's kind of what I will expect Sam to bring to me, in a good way.
Well, yeah, but actually it's a good point, though, because you can't just dial in a documentary read. It just doesn't exist like that.
No, true.
It is absolutely dependent on
The documentary.
the
What it's
documentary
about.
itself.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
every single one is unique. There is no read.
It's nuanced, though.
Well, it's nuanced. Maybe, but I mean, if even so, that's a bad habit. That's a bad thing to fall into in many ways. Because then you're almost coming at it with an idea already about how a documentary should be done, and that's
Okay, well, I'm going to be mean and say, have you ever watched National Geographic? Because I can watch 10 documentaries voiced by similar people on National Geographic and not be able to tell the difference between them.
Well, I mean, fun
shame.
fact, I actually have a master's in documentary. So
nice.
I might know a thing or two. That is really bad National Geographic Pizza Factory documentaries then, in that case. You might have beautiful pictures.
It's also
but,
discovery and
yeah,
history. So I've spotted it on all of those channels where I find them interchangeable.
This is like Pizza Factory documentary.
Yeah.
That is just the sort of documentary that you make for TV to churn things out. So if you think about documentary, like high quality documentary that you can see in the cinema and that wins awards, it's not those.
Interesting.
So it doesn't mean that those documentaries are bad. They are TV formulaic kind
But they're
of
on a
stuff,
conveyor belt,
you know?
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's different. It's just a different kind of production line, I guess.
And also, it's something we've really got to watch as voiceovers, because if we're part of the problem, if all we do is do that read.
Is recreate it, yeah.
Because
absolutely.
Watch and listen widely and see what the really good documentaries are doing, and that there is no one size fits all. And it breaks my heart when people say, "Oh, well, that's a natural history documentary read." You think, "My God, there could be so many different ways to explore that."
Yeah.
Yeah, I think also because they are the ones that are made for TV in that way, they are on a really big time crunch. Like I've worked on production for documentary series, and the delivery and everything has to be so fast.
Yeah.
Like, the whole timing of it, that often you just kind of record the VO is the last thing that comes in. So
Especially if they're repurposing into 10 different languages.
Yeah, there's a lot of different things that go into it,
Interesting.
And I suppose, different channels do require different, approaches, and often the channels themselves say, "This is what we want. This is our brand."
Yeah.
And so you have to kind of do that.
I'll try and get out a formula in what I had in my brain then. Let's see what I can... Oh,
Let's see.
Okay. I'm scared now.
I didn't think it was going to be controversial.
Well, sometimes things are, aren't
I
they?
love a bit of controversy.
Okay. Drawn by the jobs and industry that gold generates, a population of approximately 100,000 people has grown around one of the largest open-pit gold mines in the world, creating a unique living situation. This episode explores the delicate balance between mine, city, and environment. A carefully managed relationship, so that both mine and the city's inhabitants can flourish. Welcome to Paracatu, Brazil, a city born from gold.
It sounds like a corporate video.
God damn it!
Which is literally what they don't want.
Okay.
So sorry.
Well, no.
It's fascinating because it's how does one change that? Because you were thinking warm, weren't you?
I was.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing that we come up against so many times, isn't it? Is we think one thing, it comes out a different way. And so this is why it'll be fascinating to hear you do it, Susie, because there are so many different ways to what seems to be quite simple on the face of it. Needs a lot more love and care, I suppose.
It's really difficult as well when you know the genre and you've got something in your head that you think that's what it should sound like, because your brain then is kind of conflicted.
Yeah.
I think that that works with literally anything, isn't it?
Well, on that damning indictment, let's hear what Susie did then.
Well. Drawn by the jobs and industry that gold generates, a population of approximately 100,000 people has grown around one of the largest open-pit gold mines in the world, creating a unique living situation. This episode explores the delicate balance between mine, city, and environment. A carefully managed relationship so that both mine and the city's inhabitants can flourish. Welcome to Paracatu, Brazil, a city born from gold.
Yeah, I can see the difference. I can see the difference
absolutely.
there between what I was doing as factual, informational, corporate style to something, I don't know. I
kind of wanted more like storytelling.
Yes.
And more questioning. There was more questioning in every sentence than I had even considered putting in there.
Absolutely. That lightness of being able to, really bring that energy to the words was impressive. So you were doing a lot of ups, actually, as opposed to finishing a sentence on the down.
Exactly.
And making that sentence work like that. Yep. And so it gave it this airy, energetic quality. It was lovely.
There was a bit of my brain hoping that I wouldn't be able to see a difference. And then I absolutely could.
But it's so useful to see the difference, isn't it?
Because yes, without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah, that was really lovely,
I mean,
actually.
with this particular one, because it is about what is not the mine in a place where it's a mine.
Sure.
Then they wanted to emphasize the humanity of it,
Yeah.
because of the topic. So it didn't sound like a corporate video.
Really lovely. Actually, there's a lot of learning in that.
Oh, yes.
What you did there, Susie. Really interesting.
Oh,
yeah,
thank
very
you.
much so.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, of course, now it's time to throw the baby out with the bathwater because I'm going to chuck it all up in the air. It's time for the wild card. Now, Susie, can you pick one of the scripts for Sam or for me and give us a new direction, a new thing to do with it?
Okay, so I think I'm gonna give the second script to you, Mark.
To me, okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
and kind of throw the storytelling vibe that we were talking about. Is that enough of a wild card?
Yes.
Well, actually, maybe let's use the first one.
Oh,
the enneatypes, and a gentle, like you were a guru.
A guru.
Now we must follow.
Where would you be? Oh, he's good at visualizing. He loves a visualization.
Okay.
Yeah, I think, yeah.
I'm gonna imagine sitting cross-legged for this one. Okay, let's see what I can come up with. The 9 separate enneatypes are grouped into 3 clusters called triads. Each triad has one thing in common, a point of view or a feeling that they perceive the world through. Some Enneagram practitioners refer to these as the 3 knowledge centers. The triad groups represent 3 ways that we can process information. People often use words like gut, bones, or heart to describe their feelings, such as in, "I know it in my gut."
Where did that come from?
Which option they choose can be very telling.
That was... you're kind of like wizardy, but not wizardy.
It did feel a bit wizardy, and I don't know quite where it slid towards wizard, because that's not what I had in my brain that I was looking at.
What was in
What did you
Mark's
have in your
brain?
brain?
Yeah.
I had some chimes and some incense burning and lots of 70s coloured clothes and kind of sitting cross-legged with my arms in the air. It was weird.
Wow. That I can see.
In the ideal world, it would be kind of a little bit less wizardy because it just felt like you didn't quite believe on the enneatypes.
Okay.
As in, like, as a thing, whatever the thing is, because I don't know it myself. But, like, if you're trying to enlist me to your kind of set of beliefs, as it were, I wouldn't really... I think that...
She didn't buy it.
One wonders if I went more towards animation stoned wizard.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. That's fair
So
comment.
in between, I think like exactly. It would work really well on a video game, though.
Yeah, if the player just comes across you.
That would be perfect.
That would
be perfect. I encounter you in this world, and then you take me into
Yes.
times.
That's exactly what I was going for. Well done, you
That
got
was
it.
very good. So you got the job.
Perfect.
Hurrah. Right. Shall we pick one for Susie, Sam? Do you want to pick one for Susie, or shall I?
I've got, well, if I don't
if
pick
you've
one,
got one,
Susie,
if
I'll
you've
have
got one
to give
there,
myself
go
one.
for
So
it.
that
Yeah,
won't
why
work.
not?
So yes, I am actually going down the animation route. Now, it doesn't have to be necessarily big child animation, but it's animation. So, Susie, I'd like you to be a giraffe.
Okay.
Wow.
So think tall, willowy, graceful. But a giraffe who is very interested in eating the upper leaves.
Okay.
And I'd love you to do your script 2.
Oh, okay. All right. Drawn by the jobs and industry that gold generates, a population of approximately 100,000 people has grown around one of the largest open-pit gold mines in the world, creating a unique living situation. This episode explores the delicate balance between mine, city, and environment, a carefully managed relationship so that both mine and the city's inhabitants can flourish. Welcome to Paracatu, Brazil, a city born from gold.
Oh, I felt the stretch.
Yeah,
I felt the grace.
What were you seeing in your mind's eye there, Susie?
The forest.
Because you would, as a
Yeah,
giraffe.
well, you would. Interesting.
I just made myself feel very tall.
Nicely done. Well done. All right, Sam, one for you then
Okey-dokes.
to draw the wild card to a close. And I would like you to be a person who is frustrated because they have almost lost their voice. So they can only really whisper. They can't go for it. And I'd like you to do your script, if that's okay. The triads and the enneatypes.
Okay.
But the more you try and push your voice, the more frustrated you become with it. So it's like the opposite of the gentle wooiness that maybe this script is offering.
Okay. Oh, right. The 9 separate enneatypes are grouped into 3 clusters called triads. Each triad has one thing in common, a point of view or a feeling that they perceive the world through. Now, some Enneagram practitioners refer to these as the 3 knowledge centers. The triad groups represent 3 ways that we can process information. People often use words like gut, bones, or heart to describe their feelings, such as in I know it in my throat. Which option they choose can be very telling.
Oh, you need a pastel in that. Wow.
I had to cough.
Yes, it brings it all out. You kind of get worried for your own throat, don't you?
Oh.
Where did the West Country come from?
I have no idea.
I thought, oh my God, it's a farmer that's lost his voice.
Where did the West Country come from? Not from the West Country, I think, is the word
That's
for
fair.
that. I don't
Nicely
know.
done.
I have no idea.
I wonder if it's the same as yawning, that actually you hear someone do it and suddenly you kind of the scratchiness starts in your own throat.
I think so, yeah.
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 My throat is feeling very weird now.
Well, as always, we've put the scripts in the show notes so you can have a try yourself, but don't try and screw up your voice. Don't do that.
Absolutely, absolutely. And now, Susie,
Yes.
wheeling back to where we came in, you are passionate about diversity in the voiceover world, which is fantastic.
Yes.
It's a huge topic. I'd like to ask you about reels.
Yeah.
If you have a particular accent or a particular ethnicity or background or language, is it better to make separate reels in your chosen genres or make single, multifaceted reels?
I'm casting something quite large at the moment, and a few of the characters had to be, of specific ethnicities. It's quite hard, like when you're looking, because obviously, like, you receive everything from the agents and you trust that the agents read the brief and that you got, the right ethnicity, but it's not always the case. So I had, with this particular thing, I had spent the whole weekend going back and forth online to make sure that people were exactly what they said they were, because
So for you, authenticity is 100. It's got
it
to
has
be
to be
100% authentic. Interesting. Okay.
on games, particularly. If it says that it has to be, then it has to be, because nowadays with games, people go on on Comic Cons and you have the visual thing with your character, and I mean, it's just wrong not to cast correctly. To be honest, it's lazy casting. But not only that, it's something that comes with the game, so it has to be, if it is an ethnicity, it has to be correct.
All right. So if I'm an actor and a great actor and I can do the most convincing American, let's face it, Hugh Laurie as House, for instance, something as good as that, does it really need to be authentic if someone is great at it?
If the publisher, in the case of a game, has specified, then 100% yeah. Generally speaking, if you're talking about accents, then you're just talking about accents. You're not talking about ethnicity.
Yeah.
Then obviously it's a different thing. But if you are specifying like Afro-American or British Asian, if it's on the brief, then it has to be that.
If we go back to reels and how you therefore then present yourself,
So
if you
with
like.
the reels, I think it's important to add, I think the languages, personally, but that's kind of obviously personal taste. But for me, the languages is best if they're separate, because if you're casting for a job in English and something in a different language comes in the middle, it kind of jars your brain a bit. So the languages, I think, it's best to keep separate. But your kind of background accent, it should be in a reel, because so when I was casting this thing over the weekend and I went back online to check all the people that were applying, a lot of them had kind of reels that were like just in English, and I'm thinking,
Did they?
Is this person really even?
Interesting.
So you kind of had to go back and do a bit more searching to see if actually is there any Chinese on this person anywhere. If it's not within the specs of what I received, I can't put that person forward,
So the way that we need to look at this is, if it was an InVision job, you wouldn't apply for it if you weren't of that ethnicity. So if it's a
Exactly,
voiceover job, don't apply for it if you're not of that ethnicity. It's very simple, in fact, isn't it?
Yeah.
But also,
exactly.
even if we take ethnicity out of the equation, so say somebody's a Welsh actor or a Scots actor or New York or whatever it happens to be, but you can do a variety of different accents within that. Do you make a Scottish reel and an RP reel, for instance, if those are the things that you can do? Or do you make a multifaceted reel that shows off your variety of accents?
I think if you do them separately, obviously it's good to have both, to be honest, like in an ideal world. Like have one that is like a mix of everything, and then have, another option that is just separate, because each casting director will be different, in what they want to hear. And also it depends, because obviously if you do audiobooks and stuff, it's a whole different ball game in terms of accents and everything.
Yeah.
So obviously if you do any audiobooks, then put everything in there. But I think ideally it would be good to have both options, But having the ability to do tons of accents, it's awesome, because then obviously you have all the little and smaller characters or the one-liners that you can do in whatever way. So having all of that on different reels is super helpful.
It's a fascinating discussion. Susie, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I hope you've enjoyed it.
Yes, it's been really good.
Oh, it's
Super
been lovely to have
overexcited
you.
here.
Just a reminder that all of Susie Valerio's details can be found in the show notes.
They can, and of course the scripts are there too. And do hit the follow button on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify and leave a review. Please leave a review on Apple Podcasts.
Yes, that's it for this week. Thanks again to the amazing Susie Valerio, and we will be back next week with more scripts and another voiceover guest when we'll all be asking, how
Do you say that?
How do you say that?